Hi, I'm Jonathan Lamb, and I'm here in Wyoming County, West Virginia, at a special place. This place is known for its petroglyphs that were written before Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492. What's agreed on is that these petroglyphs here were carved here a millennia ago. But there's a story, and some who think that it actually was Celtic monks who did this. I know what you're thinking. You're like, what on earth are Irish monks doing in North America in 800 AD? Well, there's a story to this. You see, Patrick of Ireland, he was from Wales, and he was captured and made a slave, and he escaped from the Irish people that caught him and went back there after going to seminary and becoming a priest and preached the gospel, and people in Ireland converted in droves. They developed monasteries all over the place, and the spiritual descendants of Patrick ended up taking the gospel to Scotland and other places. In fact, they became the archivists of Europe and brought written ancient scrolls of the Bible and books from the Roman era back to Europe. Well, there was also a strong missionary initiative to go everywhere in the entire world. They would send men out a dozen at a time in these leather-based canoes, and they would go across the ocean in these flexible canoes in all sorts of different directions. Many of them knew that they might be just going out to their own deaths, but they went anyway. In fact, when the Vikings arrived in Iceland in the 900s, guess who had already beat them? That's right, there was an Irish monk monastery already in Iceland. Well, there's another story of a monk named Bernard the Navigator, and he wrote a story that people just couldn't believe. He wrote about passing an island of fire, and then of ice, and then arriving in a wooded area. In fact, he even talks about seaweed, about being in areas like Bermuda. And for ages, this tale was kind of regarded as fantasy by those in Europe. But later on, as we looked at things, as it was looked at, it became evident that Bernard was referring to Iceland, the island of fire, Greenland, the island of ice. And it's said that even the Vikings who arrived in Vinland around 1000 AD found monk relics. Well, some scholars looked at this site here in West Virginia and saw these writings and said they're Celtic. They're Celtic, and that it tells about how one of the monks that was with Bernard died, and it recounts his life. Imagine that. Monks around 800 AD traveling through the eastern United States, preaching the gospel. Bless you, hun. Preaching the gospel to the American Indians and to others. What an amazing thought to think of. This remains a contentious topic, and I don't know. But you know who does know? The Lord knows, and this is just one of those mysteries of Appalachia that continue to remain, that make us ponder who were the saints who came before us, who prepared the way, so that we could believe in Jesus today. And so I invite you to ponder that as we explored this mystery here in West Virginia. Take care, and God bless.